Hey guys, it's Tombox here. Welcome to MST.TV, and it is the May of 2019. It's time for another episode of Ultimate Counter Guide, or UCG as I would like to call it, where I cover hand traps, techs, and floodgates. Now, within this, I will be talking about 7 different matchups over a course of 24 different cards. I have 4 pages of crap for you guys to deal with. You won't have to see my face for a very long time. And I get that there's a bunch of events coming up. You have regionals, you got YCS, you got even WCQ, and this is going to be the format for WCQ. So as the format progresses, more and more techs are going to come up, and you guys can validate whether or not these techs still work, these counters still work, or perhaps I'm missing something. Leave it down in the comment section below. I'll probably do an updated segment of a new summary right before WCQ, so that we can stick with that. But for now, these are the ones that I've been playing with, and I know that not everyone gets to test all these matchups. Perhaps your locals don't have these matchups. So yeah, well, if you guys are going to enjoy these kinds of segments, hit me up with a thumbs up. If you guys want to see more of this stuff, don't forget to hit subscribe, and don't forget to check out Patreon if you want to support me and making sure that more of this type of content still comes around to your table. Don't forget to check out the Patreon link down in the description below, and every bit of support counts. And let's do this! Alright, let's look at our matchups. We have Mystic Mind Burn, or just Mystic Mind as a single card. Strong for being a total jerk card. Okay, it's more like an anti-meta card that does not allow combo decks to play. There's also True Draco. They are known for establishing large bodies, tons of floodgates, and that's what they're really known for, which prevents your opponent from really engaging in the duel. Then we have Endymion Pendulum, a combo deck that leads into those really nasty turn 1 boards, but it can also create a bunch of negation right from the first turn using the pendulum strategy. Then we have Salamangreat, a control deck that has basically nothing really touched in the deck aside from maybe they lost, what, 2 copies of Lady Debug? But they replaced that with Cyanide Mining, so lots of consistency still going for that deck. It's a control deck, of course. Then we have Thunder Guard Dragon, a combo deck that establishes unbreakable boards and focuses on OTK. And Sky Strikers, even though they lost 2 copies of Kagari, they are still functioning very, very well. So yeah, not to be underestimated because they are still the top performing deck among the top. So tier 1 easy. And then we have our newest addition, Orcas. Thanks to the addition of Dingirsu and the counter trap, they have now some very, very interesting plays that we have to, well, be prepared for and answer for. So we are putting some attention into that as well. So we're going to kick things off with hand traps. Starting with Ash Blossom, Joyous Spring, we're going to have Metaverse or Card of Demise as your potential targets to hit with Ash. Why those two? Well, first of all, a lot of these decks, they do play a lot of ways to draw and dig out their deck to fetch out the Metaverse. But if you see Metaverse, that's probably going to be the thing that you should hit because it puts up the field spell during your turn, and you don't want to see that happen. But if it's your opponent's turn, what the heck, just hit them with on their Card of Demise so that you prevent them from getting additional cards. Bear in mind, they might still have Metaverse in the back row, but at least you're dealing with all 3 copies less of another card, so that's fair game. Then we have True Draco, hit their Dragonic Diagram. Again, Card of Demise is going to be a thing. Even though if you hit a Dragonic Diagram, it might not be the end of the play because they could have multiple copies and therefore be ineffective. That's why this one gets a dash. In terms of Endymion Pendulum, hit the Servant. The Servant provides 2 bodies, which immediately gives them Electromite. If you hit the Servant with Ash Blossom, they pay the cost of removing 3 spell counters, and then they can't activate again because they attempted to special summon. If you negated the activation, sure, they can activate it again. But because the activation was not negated, the summon was still attempted at the resolution, even though it was negated, and that counts towards the once per turn summon of Servant. Therefore, you can't use the effect again. So I have to stand corrected on the previous thing I've said. And then you can also hit them on their Pendulum Call, which gives you a +1 because they have to ditch a card and they get nothing. Next, Salamangreat, you can hit their Gazelle from mining a card, you can hit Cyanide Mining from adding a card, and you can also hit their Sanctuary. If you hit the Balinks from adding the Sanctuary, they will have to spend a lot more cost to get to their end board, and that is going to be very pricey. Like, usually they get a free, what, the Sunlight Wolf gets free? Yeah, not anymore if you hit that Sanctuary, and perhaps it leads to a much weaker board for you to break. But that's just an option. Remember, if you can mix and match your hand traps, this is your option of what you want to do. You're always aiming for the end game of that board, so If you have multiple hand traps, hit one to do something and then hit the other just so that you can easily manipulate and drive your way throughout that little maze of there that I'm setting up. Anyways, Thunder, Guard Dragon, we have Battery Man that you should probably hit. There's not a lot that you can ash. Like, I'm not putting Saryuja in here because 90% of the time, if you can hit Saryuja, great. But if you can't, which is most likely the case, because you're going to get chain blocked. There's going to be a white dragon, a black dragon, a thunder dragon dark, a roar. You're going to be not able to use Ash on it. However, you can use it on the Battery Man, the Armageddon Knight, the Grapher, whatever that you can use it on that's their normal summon. It really hinders them from getting into the Saryuja, and I think that part is absolutely worth it. They will expend so much more out of the hand to get there. And then there is also the regular Thunder Dragon. I think you should hit the regular Thunder Dragon. Most of the time that I got hit by the regular Thunder Dragon, my hand size completely diminished, and it makes my danger monster lose a ton of value. Then we have Sky Striker. Sky Striker, if they activate Engage as their first card, it's a big tell that they actually have nothing. Unless they have multiple copies of Engage. So, well, that's too bad for you. But if they activate Engage first, then yeah, hit the card. And you can also hit on their Terraforming. So, yeah, there's that too. In terms of Orcas, hit the Mermaid. If you hit the Mermaid, they don't get 2 bodies out. And without 2 bodies, well, they can't go into Galatea, they can't go into a lot of stuff. But if they have any way to extend past the Mermaid, well, let me know down in the comment section below. Also, you can hit Heart Power from summoning out from the deck. Next row, we have Ogre. Ogre versus Mystic Mine, not that great, not that much of a lockout. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. In terms of True Draco, hit the Dragonic Diagram. That's most ideal. You can also use it to hit their monster, but not recommended, especially if they have Dynamite Knight, because Dynamite Knight might prepare the revival card of True King Return, and you're just not gonna have a good time. You would have given yourself a -1. Endymion, you can hit their Servant and also hit their Electromite. Electromite will always activate, and therefore when you take out the Electromite, it's actually very valuable. They lose the arrows, so the rest of the play, you don't have to worry about too much about the Pendulum summon coming out. And if you hit Servant, even better, because they had to activate a bunch of cards to fill up the quota of 3 spell counters, and they would have to lose out the spell counters and the card. Servant has to summon both herself and the card from the deck, so if she is destroyed, the card from the deck will not come out. As for Salamangrates, you can hit the Gazelle, making sure that they don't get the extra body that they need to go into Stalio, because if you take away the Stalio, that's pretty good. You can even hit the Balinx if you want, but I don't recommend hitting the Balinx because they can just play around it, go into Stalio, summon another dude, and then still go into the Sunlight Wolf. So I don't think there's a lot of value there. I mean, it's great if they don't have the Balinx to protect, but that's what you're trying to prevent. You want to hit whatever that Balinx cannot protect. As for Thunder Dragon, make sure you hit the Saryuja. That is the most basic target that you should be trying to cripple right from the get-go. If you cripple Saryuja, they lose all the arrows, and when they lose all the arrows, it just sucks. But if you have no other better target, or if this is just a bit of an extra reach for you, don't forget to destroy their Chaos Dragon Levianeer. Sky Strikers, hit the multi-roll, and as for Orcas, kill the Mermaid, because if Mermaid summons out something out of the deck, that's fine. But as long as they can't put out a second body for the Galatea, then it's not that bad. As well, you can also use it to kill the Bardiche. Just be careful when you kill the Bardiche right now, because I realize there's so many ways just to special summon the Bardiche back out, and then She-Orcas Dingirzo will come out and rip 2 cards off of your board. That part really sucks. As for Valor and Impermanence, I think Valor and Impermanence, one of the best counters that can come from the hand. Against True Draco, not so much. Mystic Mine, not so much, because the field spell, you can't just negate it with an Impermanence. If it could, I would love to play this card. But True Draco, not very effective. You just prevent a search or an ad, I guess. Not too much going on here. Oh, but for Impermanence, I guess you can turn off the Inspector Border. Yeah, or the Amano Iwado, or whatever it is. Next up, we have our column of Endymion, so you can put it on the Pendulum Scale column so that you can prevent Servant or whatever from activating in that column, locking them out. It's really good when they put a mythical beast in there, because now they're really locked out. Or you can use it to hit their Electromite so that they don't get the extra body that's in their extra deck. Perhaps they wanted a dragon in there, like a dark worm, just so that they can spam out the entire guard dragon loop. Because don't forget, Endymion also have the guard dragon loop. Next, Salamangreat. Turn off Gazelle. Turn off Mirage Stalio. Just don't let them get all that body. Don't let them get all that resource for free. As for Thunder Dragons, hit the Saryuja, because luckily Valor and Impermanence don't care about chain links. You can just use it at the very end of the chain so that Saryuja is negated, or use it to hit the Chaos Dragon so that you don't have to lose a card in your hand. You're gonna lose a card anyway, might as well negate the damn card. As for Sky Strikers, you can hit their Kagari. Hayate is honestly quite situational. You can even hit the Shizuku if that's their first turn play. They just go into Shizuku, situation depending. And as for Orcas, hit the Mermaid, hit the Bardiche. Just don't let them go off. The moment they go off, it is awful. You just 3 Fog Blades in the back and they can pop 2 cards. It really gets out of hand. Sometimes there's even a counter trap. It's very difficult. Next up, we have Droll and Lockbird. I didn't think I would put this card in here, but hey, why not? Against Mystic Mine, not that great. Doesn't really do anything. I guess you can stop them from... I don't even know what you would stop them from doing, because most of the cards you activate at once, they already set the Metaverse, and Droll doesn't prevent the card from going through. So, there's that to think about. True Draco, stop them at the Terraforming, stop them at Demise, Pot of Desires, or sorry, Pot of Duality. There's just lots of things to hit them on the Droll, and then they get locked out. So yeah, it's pretty good. As for Endymion Pendulum, I thought that there wasn't very many, so I started to list them out, and then I realized, hey, there's actually a lot of search cards in here. So there's Mastery, Spell Power Mastery. There's Darkworm from adding a Gate 0, Mythical Beast adding a King Jackal, Pendulum Call adding 2 cards. You know what? That list is actually pretty big, so yeah, there's a lot of things to draw them on. If they're running all of these cards, all those cards become dead when they draw them, so yeah, that's great. Salamangreat's not that great because they can use Circle in the draw phase, and therefore Droll won't be able to activate anymore. And the last search that they're ever going to go for is the field spell of Sanctuary. That's it. They don't even need to search anymore. They add stuff from the graveyard. As for Thunder Guard Dragon, it's really good to shut out the Dangers and the White and Black Dragon, which limits them down to only Thunder Dragon plays, which is, I guess if you look at the format right now, a lot of decks can just bypass adding cards from the deck to the hand. Yeah, just pointing that out. Got Sky Strikers, don't forget to hit them on the Terraforming or the Engage, and then it's oof time for them because it's not gonna feel very good, Mr. Stark. I don't feel so good. And as for Orcas, Droll sucks. They don't add cards to their hand very often. They mill them to the grave and they utilize the resources from the grave. And now for the DD Crow / Call by the Grave. They kind of did the same thing, so I just put them together into the hand trap lineup. I know Call by the Grave isn't a hand trap. Mystic Mine, not that great. True Draco, you can use it to stop the True King return target. Then we have Salamangreats. You can use it to hit the Spinny, or you can use it to hit the Wolf target. I think another ideal target is to hit the Jack Jaguar, because Jack Jaguar is going to be the one free resource that's going to constantly cycle itself. Spinny, if they misuse it, it'll get banished, but Jack Jaguar definitely will not. As for Thunder Dragons, if you Crow or Call by the Grave, if you're going to Call by the Grave, hit the Dark Thunder Dragons. It's quite painful. And don't forget to hit the Dark Dragons as well. That's also pretty painful. As for Sky Strikers, you can hit the Ray, you can hit the Kagari. And then for Orcas, you can hit the skeleton target that's reviving from grave. Most likely that's going to be a Galatea. And then you can also use Call by the Grave ahead of time to stop the skeleton before the banish. So yeah, therefore even if they have a second copy of skeleton, it doesn't work. And finally, we're down to our fast, just main hand trap. These are the most effective hand traps, I think. We have Lancia. Most matchups, it doesn't work, except for Thunder Guard Dragon. You lock out the dragons, forcing them to only play with thunders. Yeah, because you can't Chaos Dragon anymore. Sky Strikers, they embrace it if you Lancia them. And then finally Orcas, it's basically the turn's over the moment you Lancia, because they rely on banishing out of the graveyard. And that's my rundown for hand traps. Now for Floodgates, we have there can be only one Rivalry Warlords, Gozen Match, Summon Limit, Mystic Mine, and Anti-Spell Fragrance. Of course, for the Mystic Mine column, it makes no sense because nothing's really good against that because that's a floodgate. Anyways, there can be only one. Against True Draco, it's not very good because it minimizes damage, but with the True Draco spells and traps, I can just pop it. So one tribute summon and I guess they're free. In terms of Endymion Pendulum, lock them into spellcasters. Then there's Salaman Greats, you lock them out of being able to play anything. They can't complete a turn if they're locked into just Cybers. Thunder Dragons, you can lock them out of, I guess, Dragons or Thunder, and that's quite devastating in the long run. They get a weak board. Sky Strikers, it's only somewhat good. They have natural outs in the deck from just using Afterburners, or if they already got into their machine, they kind of tag away into Ray and then back into a machine so they can always bypass. There can be only one. They main it themselves. And then we have a Phoenix for Galatea in the Orcas matchup. They basically can get out as long as they can get into the Phoenix. So yeah, and Phoenix all goes into the Mermaid. Yeah, it's not very good. Rivalry is not very good against most matchups except for Sky Striker, where they can't go into another machine. And then for Orcas, you're playing a mix and mash of machine / warrior. So if you have one without the other, you're kind of gone without teeth here. Goes in match, a little bit different, a bit better. Again, you can just pop it with True Dracos. For Endymion, you can create some awkward locks against them because you're forcing them not to be able to special summon out dark monsters, and most of the monsters with teeth are the dark monsters, so it's a kind of an awkward lock. As for Thunder Dragons, most of them are dark. As for Sky Strikers, they get out it pretty quickly. It's not that big of a deal, to be honest. And then Summon Limit. I would say Summon Limit is one of the best floodgates outside of Mystic Mine, but for Summon Limit, against True Draco, not that great. They only normal summon up to like 3 times max, so putting them down to a 2-card counter, not that bad. And then there's Endymion or Pendulums. You can use it to lock them out of comboing. Remember, if they use Servant, that counts as 1. Servant from the skill counts as 1 summon, so they still have another one. They have enough to Pendulum summon as well. Yeah, overall, some of them is not that great. For Salaman Greats, we have an incomplete board. You use it against them, their board is really half-assed. As for Thunder Guard Dragon, get completely wrecked. Sky Striker, they don't really care. They can get rid of it quick enough with their spell cards in their deck. As for Orcas, yeah, it's quite crippling. You need to get all the bodies out. You'll be stopped at every corner. Mystic Mine versus Mystic Mine makes no sense. Then there's True Draco. They can just pop with the spell and trap. Pendulum Endymion. They'll just save up for the Endymion, and then Endymion will just come out and pop a bunch of cards. And since you're not really putting out a lot of other cards onto the field, they will be able to resolve that card. Against Salaman Great, they can use Rage to pop it. Against Danger Thunder Dragon or Thunder Guard Dragon, they lose the moment they activate Sekka's Light. Therefore, they have to main deck another tech that is on the last page. Then we have Sky Striker. They don't care, honestly. They play the card themselves, and they can easily out it just by popping one of their own cards and using Afterburners to destroy your Mystic Mine. Orcas, it's pretty brutal. They need a Twin Twister. As for Anti-Spell Fragrance, it's pretty good against Mystic Mine because, well, they have to wait to activate it. If against True Dracos, they have to set a spell before, and then they can tribute it to pop it. And versus Endymion Pendulum, it's pretty obvious. It's a Pendulum deck. Anti-Spell is the anti-Pendulum card. Salaman Great, whatever. Doesn't really do anything. Thunder Dragons, not that great because they play Sekka's Light. Sky Strikers, it slows them down quite a bit. Not gonna lie. And then there's going to be Orcas, which doesn't really care as well. And that makes it out for most of the floodgates. Okay, now for tech choices versus this matchup, we have Spell Canceller. Very good against Mystic Mine, I would say. If you're playing a Thunder Guard Dragon, consider running Spell Canceller as your main monster out because it's so good. And also versus Sky Striker, which is a known deck to play the Mystic Mine, you turn off all their back row as well. In other words, it's kind of like Denkoing them, but going extra far with it. Then there is True Draco. It's kind of weird in a low resource kind of game. Yeah, it's pretty good, but other than that, it just makes weird turns. Versus Pendulums, they can't activate the Pendulum scales. And versus Salamangreat, they don't play that many spells. Thunder Dragons, what spells? Then Sky Striker. Where's the impermanence at? They need to dig out impermanence to counter your spells, spell canceller. If they don't have Ray already, it's going to be really tough. And even with Ray, they need to make sure they have enough material to destroy you by battle. Okay, and then Orcas, they don't exactly run too many spells. If you have Spell Canceller available, I guess you can stop the field spell from going off, but that's it. Then there's Super Poly. Super Poly just came back to 2 from the ban list, of course. You can create Starving Venom with the Endymion matchup. You can create Chimera on the Salamangreat matchup, Starving Venom for the Thunder Guard Dragon, and then there's also Starving Venom for the Orcas matchup. Then there's Red Reboot. Not a lot of decks run that many traps these days, but most of them, if they run a Floodgate, it is quite one-sided, to be honest. So we have Red Reboot. If you're playing a combo deck, this is a card you can consider because you can just combo and finish your opponent up before it even hits the ground again. Red Reboot, hit the Floodgates versus True Draco, versus Salamangreats. Hit the counter trap. Once you hit the counter trap, proceed to kill. And versus Sky Striker, you can stop there can be only one. Yeah, that's really it. Thunder Guard Dragon, we don't play counter traps. And against Orcas, it's really good against Orcas because you can stop them from using their Fog Blades. Alright. Sphere Mode, you can use it to hit Endymion Pendulums. You can use it to hit Salamangreat when they set up their board. You can use it to hit Thunder Guard Dragon. Obviously, it's a monster kill. You'll be wiping out so many big monsters. And for Orcas, only if they put 3 monsters, then you can use it. Aside from that, most people I know will just link it off down back to 2 so they don't have to worry about Sphere Mode. Next, we have Artifact Scythe. This is a complete lockout for various matchups, but not against True Draco. True Draco doesn't care. We summon out of the deck. Who cares? We summon out of our hands. As for Endymion Pendulum, I guess you don't get the extra deck cards out from the extra deck. So, I guess you still have a hand to play with. Very limited. Weakens the board for sure. Against Salamangreats, they don't get to play. Thunder Guard Dragon, can't play. Sky Striker, they can negate it with Widow Anchor, and once they negate it with Widow Anchor, they can still play normally. Yeah. And then there's Orcas. Where's the impermanence at? Because they're going to be a bit locked out. Denko Sekka would be the next tech card. I got another page of text. Don't worry about that, guys. Then if there's a tech that you don't see right now, we can perhaps see it later. Against Mystic Mine, it's decent because you can keep you alive and you won't get burned to death for most cards because you can just drop the Denko Sekka. But beware of the Lava Golem at hand or any other Kaiju for that matter. Then we have True Draco. You can use this card just to stun them out from activating any more of their traps. A lot of people try to get value by like waiting as long as possible before activating their floodgates, but that's not right. That's not right. You should probably shotgun it if you think there's gonna be a Denko Sekka. Next, Salamangreat. I guess is pretty good. What traps are you talking about? You can't activate any more traps, so that's good for me. Against Thunder Dragons, not that great. No spells and traps. Sky Striker. What set cards do they have? They have no set cards. They need Effect Veiler in hand to re-enable everything. And finally, against Orcas, you can block out most of the Fog Blade. There'll probably be at least 2 in the back, but there sometimes is a 3rd one. Like, you can't really account for things that your opponent hard draws, but for the part of the combo, there's going to be 2 Fog Blades in the back, and you can stop the Fog Blades. Therefore, going into your combo pieces should be a little bit more worry-free if you can get the Denko Sekka out onto the board. And finally, we got even more tech. We got Pankratops because that's a common side for everyone. It's just a very good generic side. Against Mystic Mine, you can only really use it during the activation of Mystic Mine, so then you can chain onto it and pop it before the resolution of Mystic Mine. Once Mystic Mine resolves, it's already too late. And True Draco, you can use it to pop a big monster, or you can use it to pop the Diagram. Diagram will prevent you from destroying stuff by battle, but if you can run over most of the stuff, then go ahead. Or you can pop some of the back row. Up to you. Endymion, pop the scale before it summons out. That's pretty decent. And you can use it to run over the Mythical Beast King Jackal. If you take out the Jackal, then you can pop something, or else you're not going to be able to do so. Salamangreat is just big and makes bad chains for your opponent to deal with because you are, well, a quick effect. As for Thunder Dragon, you can use that to kill the Heretic, take out the Heretic, and you can also use that to take out the hot red dragon archfiend, because that's not negatable for the most part. And then we have Sky Strikers. It's just really big, and again, makes bad chains for them so that they burn a card. You get to burn a card with Pankratops. As for Orcas, Orcas, you can just pop any problematic monster. Overall, it's not too bad, but it will not work against Yugioh. Just a quick note there. Now for Kaijus, next on the list we have Kaijus. This stops the advantage from the monsters from continuously going off, which kind of stops them from snowballing a little bit, but that's about it. But it does take out the monster, and that's easier to take out one of those monsters and rather than try to battle one of the monsters being protected by a Draconic Diagram. Against Endymion, you can get rid of some of the control that's blocking you, mainly one of their negators. Against Salamangreats, you can take the link away, which stops the traps. I think that's quite essential. Most people that are smart, though, they'll go into a second Balings when they do their full turn 1 combo. Against Thunder Dragons, this is a hard one to say because there's just too many monsters on the board at the same time, which makes it rather difficult for Kaiju to deal with it, which is why Sphere Mode is obviously the better choice. Now against Sky Striker, you turn off the entire back row, except for maybe Impermanence and maybe even Crackdown now. Yeah, so there's that. And as for Orcas, you can use it to take away the Galatea, take away the Longirsu. It's not bad at all. As for Shared Ride, now you can use this like a Max C, can we? For the most part, it's close. So against True Draco, you actually have a couple cards. When they activate Pot of Duality, when they activate Diagram Terraforming, when they activate some of their monsters, mainly the Maiden. Yeah, it's pretty decent. You can get some adds. Against Endymion Pendulum, the thing is, they don't exactly add too much from the deck to the hand. They can draw. They don't really add all that much. It's possible you can hit it with the Mystic Mind, but of course it depends on the variant. Like if they use Spell Power Mastery, there we go, then yeah, it's pretty good, I guess. I guess you can kind of counter from there. If they play Terraforming, they use all sorts of searches. Yeah, it's possible. Against Salamangreats, you have a pretty decent line of cards that you can use Shared Ride on. Probably get 2 card draws from the Sunlight Wolf because it will add 2 cards at the very least if they do full combo. Balings will give them the Field Spell, Circle, Sign and Mining, all those cards, all legitimate adds. And yeah, and don't forget, Shared Ride also adds like you get to draw a card for cards added from the graveyard. And then for Thunder Dragons, basically every card that activates in the graveyard to give them a plus, go ahead and draw a card. That's a lot of cards you can draw from this deck. Then there's a Sky Striker. Sky Striker, there's the Field Spell, Engage, Kagari, Shizuku. And against Orcas, not that great. They mainly focus on just directly sending something from graveyard. And because most of the stuff happened in the graveyard, you don't really get any kind of draw because they don't add stuff back to hand. Then there's Crackdown against Mystic Mind, not that great. True Draco, I guess you can take their monster, but what does that really offer you? I guess you can link it off, but likely the Crackdown will get popped, and if Crackdown gets popped, the monster returns, alright? I got a ruling segment for Crackdown. It's actually a little bit more complicated on some of the interactions, so I'll talk about that later. Endymion Pendulum, you're not likely going to be able to resolve this card. You can't target Endymion, and I guess you can take away their the King Jackal, or you can try to take away some stuff, but likely it's going to get negated. There's just too much negation, and Crackdown is kind of slow for that. As for Salamangreats, you can take away the Link monster. Do it during the end phase so that it will cost them cards if they don't have Rage. If they don't have Rage, then you turn off most of the back row altogether, which is pretty nice. Then there's Thunder Dragon. Take away the Thunder monster, take away the Saryuja, take away the dragon that they're trying to combo with. Taking away the dragon might even stop the entire Guard Dragon combo from happening because they rely on that part to really make that really big board. Take away the Sky Striker. If you're playing a mirror match, that is pretty awesome because now you get to use your opponent's card for Link material, and that's always a plus. As for Orcas, take away the Link material. Yeah, just don't let them link off, and then make them kill it, and then that kind of ruins their whole phase. Now, next we have Vanity's Fiend, or Vanity's Ruler, or whichever summon lockdown monster you have. So Mystic Mine, not that great. True Draco, they don't care. There is Endymion. You kind of win. The main deck doesn't exactly hold any outs to Vanities, even if they were like side in Pankratops. Pankratops can't special summon out, so you'll always have the tempo advantage right there. If they somehow put up 2 monsters and you're unable to kill it, yeah, that's unfortunate. And with Vanities, they can't even use Endymion from the scale, and they can't summon out via the Servant, so that's a pretty big deal that you're locking them out in. And what are they gonna do? Even if they just foolish hit a Dark Room into the graveyard, the Dark Room can't even special summon out, so that's a very big lockdown. Against Salamangreat, it's not bad at all, but they need impermanence to turn off your Vanities, and as a deck that does run Vanities, yeah, it's possible that they can get there. And sometimes if they're running Veiler, they'll turn off your Vanities and try to get with some of their monster kills so that they can summon out Gazelle from hand. So there are interactions that they have, but overall it is pretty devastating. Then there is Thunderguard Dragon. You just win. They have no outs most of the time. They don't run Spell and Traps because they run Sekka's Light, and because they run Sekka's Light, they don't have anything to get out of Vanities. And most of the monsters, they can't summon out to take out Vanities anyway. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Even with Pankratops, oh, it's 26. Yeah, but you can't special, so it's too bad. As for Sky Strikers, it's not good against them because they have negates, they have pops, they have Afterburner, they have Widow Anchors, they have Impermanence. They just naturally have a bunch of stuff to deal with this kind of monster. And as for Orcas, it sounds good on paper, but because Orcas is right now mashed in with the Phantom Knight engine, they have Fog Blades, and Fog Blades will negate Vanities and prevent Vanities from attacking too. So, yeah, that's it. Next, we have Evenly Matched. Evenly Matched against Mystic Mine. If Mystic Mine is trying to burn you, yeah, it's a really good wipe because either they keep the Mystic Mine available, which is very unlikely to be the case. What's more likely to happen is you're gonna use Evenly, and they don't have their stuff active already. Or if they Ojama Trio you, yeah, that part really sucks because Ojama Trio turns off Evenly Matched pretty good. But overall, it's a pretty decent wipe. Then there's True Draco. It's a good wipe. You just wipe most of the board. Nothing really serious that they can do to counter you. And then there's Endymion Pendulum. They have a lot of negates, so I don't think that Evenly Matched is even going to work. You're going to side it, if you side it in and you can't bait out the spell negations coming on their side, most likely coming from an Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon, then they'll stop you. And if they run Endymion, you have to stop 2 spell trap negations. By that point, I don't think Evenly Matched is worth it because now you have to burn 2 cards to get the mass wipe. That still leaves a card for your opponent. And then there is Salamangreat, not that great, because they often have a negation. They often have the roar available in the back, and when they have that, it's hard to actually use Evenly Matched on them. But if you do get it off, it's pretty good. But overall, it's pretty predictable that they will have it and they'll wait for it. And but if you can combo it with a Kaiju with it, oh man, that could be really, really good. Now we have also Thunder Dragons. As long as they don't have Hot Red, that mass wipe hurts a lot. They can't really recover from that. They might leave probably the Heretic on the board for the most case, I would guess, because Heretic's pretty good. But there is a form of recovery that they can do now. This is my secret tech. If they're using Brotor, they can go Brotor from the graveyard, summon out after you kill off the last monster. They'll discard a card and they'll add a Chaos Dragon Levianeer back to hand. And with the whole Thunder Dragon package in the graveyard and the White and Black Dragon package in the graveyard, when the Chaos Dragon Levianeer activates, they're going to get a crap ton of chains. And they'll pop 2 cards and have a full OTK coming back from even and Evenly Matched. That's something I've seen through testing myself. Against Sky Striker, yeah, evenly them. It's a good wipe. And against Orcas, because they won't have the counter trap some of the time, if they only have like 2 Fog Blades that they set from the Phantom Knight engine, yeah, go ahead and give them a nice clean Swiffer Wet Jet, and that'll just take out most of the board. That's most of the cards I want to talk about today. As for any other interaction, you're probably wondering, like, oh, what about No Material? No Material deserves its own video because the card's not that great. There's so many conditions. It's very awkward to play. It's very clunky, very dead drawy. Like, we gotta look at the advantage versus disadvantage, and that will be a video on its own. And the other card would be Ghost Sister, Spooky Dog. that one, just look at the combo matchup. Just do it to the combo matchup and you should be fine. Don't do it to, say, I guess you can do it to a Sky Striker if you're afraid of them punching you to death. You can use that to survive in time. If you're going into time, just put it in. It's usually safer than not putting it in. But don't just randomly shotgun the card. Make sure you chain it or else you will lose in time. And yeah, that's about it. So there you have it, guys. We have the Ultimate Counter Guide for May of 2019. You might have noticed that my voice changed over this last page just because I fell asleep and I woke up and continued to do this at like 7:30 in the morning because there was just a lot to go over. But thank you for watching this, guys. And I'll prove that it's different because now if I go turn on my camera, I will look like I'm in a different t-shirt and with bed hair. So that is all I got for this video, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys have more stuff to add on how to counter various decks for the 7 matchups mentioned, leave it down in the comment section below and share it with all of us. Share it with me. I need to learn this before the regionals coming up this weekend, so I will be definitely scrummaging through all those comments down in the comment section. If I agree or disagree, I'll leave a comment just because maybe things work, maybe some things don't. But this is based off of my experience with these matchups. Please share. I appreciate it. Thank you guys, and wish you best of luck at your WCQ regionals, YCSs, whatever events that's coming up for you guys. Best of luck in taking down your opponent, and until next time, don't forget to throw me a big thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell because it really means a lot, and thank you Patreons for making this segment possible. And until next time, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please drop us a like so we know we are doing a good job. And you can also subscribe to MST.TV for more fantastic videos by clicking on the button on the left. Don't forget to check out our partners at Imperium Duelist. They make really high quality mats, including some of my own limited edition release stuff. And if you want to check out one of our past videos, click here on the right. As always, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV, and I'll see you next time.